The disaster of the 2020 NFL season will continue for the San Francisco 49ers after it was announced yesterday that both Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle will miss significant periods of time. The 49ers have been an injured mess this season, and that has led to an early 4-4 record, good enough for the worst place in the NFC West. First, I'd like to acknowledge that the majority of the people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. Help us out by subscribing and joining us on our way to 100K because it's coming fast, and you don't want to miss your opportunity to enlist in the J&D Army. The 2020 NFL season is already one to forget for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers as the injuries piled up early and just haven't stopped. Now with over 20 players that have landed on injured reserve in this season alone. The most recent additions to injured reserve likely put an unofficial end to their season as they begin to look ahead to 2021. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has been dealing with an ankle injury since week 2 and has missed 2 consecutive games due to it. According to Adam Schefter, the 49ers have decided that they want to shut him down again after leaving the game early in a 37-27 loss to the Seattle Seahawks in week 8. Garoppolo has gone 3-3 this season with 1,096 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Also leaving the loss early was tight end George Kittle. NFL's Ian Rappaport reported that Kittle has a foot fracture and will miss extended time. Kittle managed to rack in 474 yards and 2 touchdowns in 6 games before the fracture. These issues further a disastrous season for the 49ers, who have already put over 20 players on injured reserve. The running back position has been one of the most problematic positions for the 49ers. Tevin Coleman was activated off of injured reserve ahead of the matchup against the Seahawks, but ended up leaving the game with a knee injury and landed right back on it. It has certainly been a season to forget for Coleman as well, who has appeared in 3 games with only 50 yards. San Francisco desperately needed Coleman to return due to both Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson also sitting on injured reserve. Mostert landed on injured reserve a little over a week ago with an ankle injury, and Wilson also recently ended up on injured reserve with an ankle injury as well. Mostert has 303 yards and a touchdown in 4 games this season, and Wilson has played in 6 games with 163 yards and 4 touchdowns. While not on injured reserve, the 49ers have also been without wide receiver Deebo Samuel due to a hamstring injury and have been without Jalen Hurd, who tore his ACL in the offseason that caused him to miss the entire season. Samuel has appeared in only 4 games in 2020 with 185 yards and a touchdown. Hurd, on the other hand, will miss his entire second season in the NFL after missing his entire rookie season in 2019 with a back injury that landed him on injured reserve. Another tight end who's been dealing with injury is Jordan Reed, who's been dealing with a knee injury that has kept him sidelined. However, he might have the chance to return with the absence of Kittle. Reed has had 85 yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 games. The San Francisco offense has been injured beyond repair this season, but it's quite possible that the defense has dealt with more injuries. Star defensive end Nick Bosa is atop the list of notable defensive studs on the injured reserve list after he tore his ACL in week 2 that ended his season after only 6 tackles. On the other side of the line, defensive end Dee Ford is also on injured reserve with a neck and back injury after only recording 3 tackles. If the defensive line hadn't taken enough of a hit without those 2 stars, Bosa was not the only player to tear his ACL in week 2, joining defensive tackle Solomon Thomas. Thomas had 2 tackles before his departure, meaning that the top 3 players on the 49ers stacked defensive line are likely going to finish 2020 with a total of 11 tackles on the season. Back in the secondary, cornerback Richard Sherman landed himself on injured reserve with a calf injury in week 2 as well. Sherman had 4 tackles in week 1 before his injury. The 49ers offense is now back in the hands of Nick Mullins. Mullins is 1-1 as a starter this season and has 852 yards and 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Now, the San Francisco 49ers backup role situation could be much worse compared to other teams in the league, but Garoppolo was already struggling mightily due to the injuries and lack of players available on game day, and a less capable quarterback now has to step in and take over. That certainly isn't a recipe for success. San Francisco is well aware of where they stand in the NFC West and what they are projected to do for the remainder of the season without almost all of their star power. Therefore, it's no surprise that the 49ers have ended up being sellers at the trade deadline. After signing a 4-year, $54 million contract ahead of 2019, linebacker Quan Alexander was shipped off to the New Orleans Saints, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. In return, return, the 49ers received linebacker Kiko Alonso and a conditional 5th-round selection. Even Alexander has been dealing with the injury bug and had previously missed the past 3 games for the 49ers with, of course, an ankle injury. The 49ers and their ankle injuries, man. Alexander had 30 tackles and a sack in 5 games with the 49ers before being traded away. The 49ers have little to no chance to win their division in 2020 at 4-4 with an absolute stacked NFC West looking back at them. Russell Wilson has his Seahawks out to an impressive 6-1 start, and not far behind them are the Arizona Cardinals at 5-2 behind the play of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. In third is the Los Angeles Rams, who have rebounded after a poor 2019 season and sit at 5-3 through week 8. With the lack of talent and players available, the 49ers would only have a true shot to win their division if they were going up against a bunch of high school teams like the NFC East. Sometimes things don't break the way teams hope for, and that's exactly what has happened to the 49ers in 2020. This season has seen a ton of injuries as expected with a shortened offseason due to COVID-19, but San Francisco has definitely gotten the short end of the stick. The struggles for the 49ers have lasted all year, with Garoppolo struggling to find open receivers and having no run game due to a buildup of injuries. I'm sure that at the time, San Francisco fans didn't think things could get any worse. Now, without the health of Garoppolo and Kittle, things have gone full panic mode for the 49ers, only months after playing in the Super Bowl. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more J&D. We read all of our DMs and love hearing what you guys have to say.